in the back of that track, and
Is that right?
That was the day that I became a Christian.
Really? Was it one of those chick tracks they used to find laying everywhere?
As a matter of fact, it was. It was called "This Was Your Life," and to this day, I can tell you.
I remember that track. I saw one of those. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I've dropped hundreds of those myself in my lifetime because that is what made the difference for me.
No kidding.
So, yeah, you drop 3 tracks a day, you can reach over 1,000 people with the gospel a year.
No kidding. Wow. So you were a believer at a young age?
Yes.
Okay, so you were walking with the Lord all that time, and then finally found yourself out there in the mountains and in a nice little church, and you felt God's calling, huh?
Yep. Well, the Lord walked with me that whole time, but I didn't always walk with Him.
Oh, I hear you there, brother. Yeah.
Things were pretty rough down there in Florida, and life had some rough edges to it, let me put it that way.
Yeah, it can get the better of you doing a job like that. No question. So you started doing some Bible courses and were involved in this church. What happened then?
Well, I finally put in my resignation and started traveling around the country. I had money saved up, and I traveled from one end of the country to the other, from South Carolina to Seattle and down to California, just visiting Bible colleges.
Really?
It was a great trip. Took my mom along. We had some good times. And
no kidding. What was
finally,
that like? You don't do that in a week. That must have been quite a drive.
Oh, it was like 2 months of just traveling around the country.
No kidding.
I loved a road trip. Well, I've got over 1 million miles on patrol cars, so
really?
Jumping in a car and just going for miles and miles just comes natural to me.
Right. Okay. So you were visiting these colleges to select one to go to?
Yep.
Okay. And what did you end up with?
I ended up going to Montana Bible College.
Ah, but Big Sky country.
Yeah. Well, that's the area that I am most comfortable in, and it was there that I started getting interested in missions.
Really?
And I found a website of a big, beautiful white hospital ship, Mercy Ships International, and I decided that's where I was headed.
Really?
And it was like love at first sight. When I saw those hospital ships, I wanted to be involved. So I did a couple years at Bible college, and then I started doing the fundraising and applying for a position with Mercy Ships. And
right.
I spent about a year and a half probably traveling around talking to groups, trying to drum up support. Needed like $1,300 a month. When I got that, I went to mission training down in Tyler, Texas, at the Mercy Ships headquarters.
Really? Tyler, Texas. Isn't that the same?
Tyler, Texas.
Yeah, Tyler, Texas. What's his name? R.W. Schambach from Tyler, Texas. That's the same guy.
Oh, yeah, with his tent ministries, yes.
I used to listen to that guy on WFIL in Philadelphia back in the 80s before I was a believer, and I used to think, oh, my gosh, is this what I got to do to be a Christian? He was quite a character. He was a real, what do you want to call it? He was old school Pentecostal. So you actually went right on into it then?
Yeah, Mercy Ships took me on, and after the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Centers, there was a whole lot of new regulations come out for ships because all the experts figured that the next attack would be on shipping. So Mercy Ships needed a head of security.
Okay.
And since I was the only cop applying, they asked me to fill that job, so it was my job to recruit and train security teams for these 3 hospital ships, and I went to different countries to do security surveys and make sure it was safe for the ships to come in and so on, and make sure we came home with the same number of missionaries we went out with.
Now, you see, I would have thought that you did it because of your experience as a corpsman, that might have been something that was going to be used on that shipping. No?
Well, actually, these ships get more medical volunteers than they have room for.
Really?
RNs and surgeons and dentists.
Oh, is that right?
A lot of them spend their vacation every year working on Mercy Ships. So, yeah, there was really no place for an amateur like me. You know, they had all the professionals they needed.
What kind of I'm sorry, I was just curious, what kind of port of calls did you guys go to?
Well, we had the Caribbean Mercy that went to Honduras and Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the Anastasis was a bigger ship that cruised the west coast of Africa.
Oh, really? Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
So you were doing the security to make sure that these guys would be able to get there and get back safe.
Yes. A lot of they took medical care to the poorest nations in the world, and
Okay.
unfortunately, some of the poorest nations in the world are also the most unstable.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely.
For instance, Sierra Leone had just finished up a 10-year-long civil war that was just brutally violent.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The rebels that were trying to overthrow that country, they decided that the way they were going to do it is by catching the farmers and their families out in their fields and chopping off their hands.
Yeah, yeah, the day of
These
the
people,
machetes. Yeah,
yeah, so these poor people would have to flee to the city, and the government would have to take care of them.
right.
And this went on for a long, long time. And finally, the UN come in, and peace was established, and Mercy ships came in there as just about the only medical provider in the area,
Right.
and they really set up a great service. They took railroad cars, and they established prosthetics labs that they could drop off in places around the country.
Really?
And these guys were so good, they could manufacture prosthetic hands, arms, and legs in with a 48-hour turnaround period. And these people were finally getting their lives back.
Really? Wow.
It was a miracle situation.
That had to be pretty gratifying to be part of that.
It was, and I I went to the polio village in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
The polio people, they can't walk well.
Right.
They're kind of ostracized in this African culture.
Right.
So they said, well, we're not going to put up with that. We'll just start our own city. And they did.
Really?
I met the mayor of the polio city.
Okay.
And they had set up shops where they would do bicycle repair and fabric dyeing. And people brought business to them from all around, because they did such good work. And the ones that couldn't get around, couldn't walk, they had these little tricycles that they could pedal with their hands.
Really?
They called PETs, personal energy transport. And these have been made and donated by missionaries in the United States.
Oh, wow.
And then many years later, I went back up to Red Feather Lakes, Colorado, for a visit, and I was sitting out on a deck overlooking the horses in the pasture and the mountains, and there was a lady standing there taking pictures, and I asked her if she's a tourist. She said, yeah, we're from a church group, and I said, I go to church. She says, oh, yeah. She said, we make personal energy transports for people that are crippled over in Africa. I said, are you kidding me? I said, I've met them. I've been to their village. She says, oh, that's fabulous. And,
Wow.
and it was just really touching and impressive. It's really a small world, I tell you, when God's involved.
Wow. So did you run into any kind of hostile environments when you were, doing the security for the ship?
I got whipped with a bloody cowtail once.
You're kidding.
Yeah, there was some unrest in the city,
Uh-huh.
and we had missionaries all over the city doing work and stuff. And so I grabbed one of the security officers, and I went out the gates of the shipyard where we were docked to see what was going on. It was a huge festival with lots of drinking, and there were a bunch of witch doctors who had painted themselves red from head to toe. And they had these cowtails, and they were dancing and whipping these cowtails around. And they saw me and this other security guy, and they came running over, and they surrounded us. I couldn't understand what they were saying. We kind of had our backs to the wall, and this one witch doctor started whipping me with that cowtail. I said, my buddy, it's time to go.
Yeah. Yeah, time to go.
Yeah, we headed back to the ship, and the captain put out a call for all the missionaries to find a safe haven, And,
Really?
yeah, so the ship was locked down, and the missionaries all just kind of hunkered down for 12 hours or so until all these festival goers were passed out, and then things got back to normal.
So really, it was just Mardi Gras, but it was over there
Yeah, and since as there's so much
with cowtails.
witchcraft and stuff like that, it's very similar to Haiti.
Yeah.
Well, I did have a lady get after me with a machete in Haiti. It was at a
Oh, jeez.
It was at a pig pit with a huge old tree that was used for voodoo ceremonies.
Yeah.
And I had the audacity to walk up and put one of those JT Chick tracks on their tree. And that did not set too well with these voodoo priestesses. And man, this great big fat lady come after me with a machete, and I was stepping and a fetching, man. I was headed to the ground.
No kidding.
I'm so glad nobody got that on video.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's something you don't want to have up on YouTube.
Yeah, hopefully she went back and read that track.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Probably
Okay.
will someday, yeah.
Wow. Holy smokes. So, how long did you do this stint with the Mercer ships?
3 years, probably.
Is that right? All right. So that was your full-time gig, huh?
It was. It was. Uh-huh.
Okay. So, what years are we talking here? Is this like 2001 till 4 or 5?
3, 4, 5, moving into maybe 6.
Okay. So, what happened then? I mean, did you just did you already graduate from the Bible college? Is that what had happened?
No, I didn't finish my degree. I actually still haven't finished my degree. So, yeah, what happened is funding dropped off.
Yeah, that'll do it every time.
Oh, funding is tough for missionaries. You know, it took me well over a year to get $1,300 pledged, and when the checks started rolling in, it actually turned out to be more like $500 or $600 a month.
Right.
I was barely getting by. Man, if it wasn't for the grocery stores donating their old groceries, I would have starved.
Really? Well, yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that, especially even now. It's even worse now with the economy that is, because our own MOA, Steve Deloach, who's not with us tonight, heads up GuyanaMissions.org, and he's the director of missions to taking medical teams down to Guyana every summer. He's been doing it for 23 years. And this past year has been like deplorable for donations, and it's really made it hard, really hard. So you what happened? Did you just feel like okay, well, I've done this, now it's time to move on to something else, or did you get some kind of an offer, or figured maybe I'm going to retire? What did you do?
I had to get out and get a job.
That'll do it every time.
Yeah, I saw so many missionaries on the field who had a heart to serve, and they desperately wanted to serve,
right.
But the donations just did not come in, and they had to just pack up and go home. It was really sad. That is the number one reason that missionaries leave the field, is the people back home do not write checks like they said they were going to.
Yeah. There's so many good intentions, but they end up being nothing, huh?
Yeah, well, they tend to forget about you.
Yeah.
Well, and so that's very discouraging, and I'm actually a little bit discouraged about Christian service at this time, but I'm not discouraged about Jesus Christ or our Lord. I know who's in charge, and I trust the Scriptures, but I just am a little disappointed in the people that call themselves Christian.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah, matter of fact, don't get me started because I'll get on a rant. But that's
okay.
that's another story altogether. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know, the Christian Army is the only army that shoots its own wounded. Unbelievable. But yeah. So you went out and got yourself a job doing what?
Laying pipe in landfills. Believe it or not.
Oh yeah, construction.
Digging construction, digging ditches, and putting in pipes to bleed off methane gas.
Really?
So yeah, it was pretty good money, but it was hot, dirty work.
No kidding.
So
did you have any like regrets about doing that versus the other vocations you'd had?
I was finally making enough money to live on.
Well, that matters. That makes all the difference in the world.
So anyway, I had family down here in Florida. I have a sister who was disabled and kind of needed her big brother around. So about 2006, 2007, I came down here to Florida looking for work, and it took me about a year to find work.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm around for my mom and sister down here, and then that's when I finally got started doing these Wild Bill videos.
Yeah, how did that all come about? What was the what was the motivation? How did this kind of, was it something that you just kind of thought up, or what happened? What was the story on that?
Well, I figure my only real talent is not being able to keep my mouth shut. So
I can relate to that. Yeah.
Making YouTube videos just kind of came natural. I would meet with a friend for breakfast a couple times a week, and we just talk about how we could make a difference, and we'd cuss the liberals and the Democrats and all this stuff, and how we can turn this country around, and finally decided to try the video thing. So I paid $77 for a used Kodak camera on eBay.
Okay.
We went to a nearby park, sat down, and just started talking about what was on my mind and what's going on in our country. And
I'm really beating you up tonight, aren't I? For those of you who don't know, Bill just is still still reeling from bronchitis. You've had this for like a month now, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. It's
You're making me cough just hearing it. Well, I appreciate you putting up with me making you talk all this time. I really do.
I think he's just putting it on for the sympathy vote.
You know what? You got a point there. He might be doing that. I didn't think about that.
Don't vote for Obama or Bill will die.
Yeah, well,